What is up, Internet? It is I, Caleb Black, bringing you something a little different than my normal content. I don't really usually do these express my own opinion about things kind of things. But I did say I was going to do a review on Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, and I'm going to be calling it RDR2 Online from now on because it's a pain in the ass to say the whole thing. But I did promise a review, and here it is. Now, um, the purpose of this beta review, since it seems kind of useless to review a beta, uh, it would be normally with the way that betas are usually released these days. In other words, they're just a glorified demo. Um, so most betas won't actually reflect any changes or feedback that you give to the company while the beta is going on, and most have such a limited launch window that you don't even have time to properly test the game like you should be able to with an actual beta. But that industry bullshit aside, this particular beta is actually working like a real beta. Rockstar is, still asking for our feedback. And this whole review is to organize my thoughts and feelings about the online experience as it sits now. Hopefully, you'll find this review useful so that way you can give your own feedback to Rockstar. Now, as of today, as of writing the script and recording, Rockstar did announce and implement a change to the player economy, so some of what I have to say about that particular issue might end up being moot. I haven't had a chance to actually jump online and play since the change was implemented, but from the stuff that I've heard, some of it's good and some of it is bullshit. But we'll get into that in order. I do have a rhyme and reason to how I plan on doing this. So, without further ado, now that the preamble is over, let's get our hands dirty. Now, firstly, let's address the elephant, since it's huge and currently chewing on the couch. The player economy. While it has had some improvements, from what I've heard of the improvements made, it's not a vast difference. I do still see some problems with it. I haven't gotten a chance to play and get my hands on it yet, but from what I've seen in the tweaks that were made, and some other people have already done videos on this, they're easy to find. I found them without any effort, by accident, while I was writing the script. But anyway, with that in mind, still, even post, like, a couple of hours after the announcement was made for making money and, changing the amount of guns, like how much those cost and everything else, and the payouts for stranger missions and redoing story missions, yeah, that's all well and good, but there are still videos popping up on how to grind efficiently for Dosh in the game. There wouldn't be a need for those videos if you could organically earn money in Red Dead Redemption 2 Online. I promised I wouldn't say that anymore. RDR2 Online, there wouldn't be those videos if it still wasn't kind of a pain in the ass to get money for things in Red Dead Redemption 2 Online. I'm sorry, I am a liar, apparently. The point is, if it were an organic experience and if it felt rewarding to do any of the activities in RDR2 Online, you wouldn't have as many people spamming YouTube, with these guides. So there's the best fishing locations, although fishing has been nerfed, so fishing is, not as lucrative as it was, which means I might actually be able to get some fishing done without getting shot in the face. Fingers crossed on that one. Still haven't done it yet, but I will find out. I'm sure I will. Clearing bandit hideouts and looting bodies. I haven't heard anything about the updates for that, whether or not you get more money from corpses when you loot them. I know that the cost, the selling price for valuables is still like only $1 or so, and they're rare drops, and I don't know why they still cost less than a can of freaking baked beans. They have done tweaks to the economy, but I don't see the type of changes that probably would have had a serious effect on the actual satisfaction that you get from doing activities. from what I've heard, they have adjusted the amounts that you get from stranger missions. I don't have much fun doing stranger missions. They all seem kind of boring. Like, Bonnie is the only one who I can actually get to work. And there's a cooldown for strangers, so, you know, without completely tanking my honor level, because I'm max honor, because, you know, I play a good guy. There really isn't much variety or fun to be had for stranger missions, so yeah, I mean, increasing the payout for the time that they take is nice for those that enjoy them, but it's not a selling point to me. It's the same thing for, like, PvP and horse races. Those have been improved, apparently, as well. I got bored of horse racing after a while when I noticed there were 5 dudes spinning in a circle the finish line, and I could still only get second place because every time I got near, like, third or fourth, I'd get gunned down, and then there'd be a massive horse pileup, and then I'd somehow manage to extricate myself from that pileup after respawning and sneak across with, you know, second place. And that's only in point-to-point horse races or the circuits, the, what do they call it, lap races. The open races, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them a lot. They are not fun. I don't know how they could even make that mode fun. To me, intrinsically, it's just not a fun thing. Which is odd, because Rockstar has made racing games before. I mean, granted, they weren't on horseback, but I remember having a ton of fun with this street racing game that they made back in PS2 era. And they had that open race format where you got to pick your path to a point, but it was still laid out in a somewhat linear fashion. There was still, like, you had to get through all the points in the finish line, and you had to drive from one side of town to the other, and they were implemented better back on the PS2 for a racing game. So, like, I don't know, maybe that team doesn't work at Rockstar anymore when they were doing the horse races. Speculation. Open horse races, or whatever they call it, they're balls, and I don't like them. So there's not really much motivation for me to continue horse racing, because I don't have as much fun. It was fun for, like, a hot minute, and then I got bored. PvP is annoying and unbalanced. Like, horribly so. Auto-aim should be toned down in PvP, in my opinion, because it is far too easy to just have the game aim for you. It's like an aimbot cheat, only you don't have to pay some kid $35 to do it in Fortnite. You can just aim down sights and bam, you're magnetically drawn to anybody that appears on your screen, unless they're out of range for your weapon. So basically, if you've got a bolt-action rifle, you are golden. Or even a varmint rifle, you're golden in PvP. Unless they get into mid to close range. And then you want your double-barrel shotgun or your pump-action shotgun. I recommend the pump-action shotgun because it's got better damage in the mid, but regardless of that, time to kill, TTK, needs to be increased if you want people to actually have fun in PvP that like to PvP. There's a fine balance in time to kill. You want to give your opponents enough time to potentially reach an objective before getting gunned down as it sits. Like, King of the Hill mode is balls unless you spawn directly on the first point and can hold it. You're gonna have a tough time even getting on the board. Because as soon as you spawn, the other 3 people who died trying to get to that point will spawn behind you and mercilessly gun you down before turning on each other. It's balls. Team deathmatch and things like that. It's just a mess, man. I not a satisfying PvP experience in my, time with the game. It's not like I don't like PvP. I mean, I used to play COD Blops 2 was my jam, and I even did that in hardcore mode, and that has some of the fastest time to kill. The difference is you kind of actually had to aim in order to get shots off on people, and there was a lot of cover. Most of the maps that you run into in PvP modes for Red Dead Redemption, and like if you've been on the map at all, there aren't a lot of like places to hide and get yourself a chance to find out where the enemy is. And also in dedicated
player versus player combat games, they have a rhyme and or reason to how people spawn on the map after they've died, and there is a certain amount of time before you spawn. Right now, the time from which you die to the time that you're back into PvP is like ridiculously short. So there's no real advantage to actually killing anybody in there unless that's the point of the match, because like as soon as they die, they're back and they're pissed off at you and they will shoot you in the face before you even have time to reload. It's a mess and they need to work on that. But that's just like making money and grinding and stuff. Like I said, I haven't gotten my hands on the newest version of that whole metagame, but the ways that they've, air quotes, improved the economy, I'm not going to enjoy doing as much as I enjoyed hunting and fishing, and doing the story missions over again was kind of fun. Until I ran out of fun story missions, because there's only like 3 that I had a lot of fun with and could enjoy multiple times. So there's that. The economy, I believe, is still far from ideal for people who don't have the time to grind for 6+ hours to, get gold bars and money, and things are still too expensive. The price reduction in guns was a good first step. I will say that. That will make a big difference as far as like finding good guns for hunting and I guess PvP. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of that, so it's not really going to impact my gameplay at all. I am disappointed that they nerfed hunting and fishing, because that was one of the few things that I could still have fun with without having to invest a ton of time and still feel like I earned something. Like fishing was fun for me, and it was lucrative because my fish don't disappear out of my pockets after I catch them. Now, if I caught like a lake sturgeon or a freaking pike and had to throw it on the back of my horse, cross your fingers and hope you don't get shot by a rando on your way back to the butcher, because that shit's gone after that. But, it's the same thing with hunting. I don't even go after larger animals anymore for the most part, because if you die on your way to the butcher with pelts and a corpse on the back of your horse, that shit's gone when you respawn, and that's balls. That is total balls. With the amount of griefing that goes on, that shouldn't even be a thing. I know that they're going for like immersion and realism, but there's already enough intrinsic systems to the online experience, and even in the single player game, that are not realistic at all. So, it's a fine balance. You gotta strike that balance somehow, and the way it's balanced right now is it's balls. And having, 2+ hours of work roaming around and hunting getting ruined, basically having at least half of your potential income taken from you by a dude who wants nothing more than to ruin your fun. It's balls, man. It needs to get fixed. Fix it, Rockstar. No. Hopefully they'll address that as well. If we make enough noise, they might actually do something about that aspect. The second issue was, leveling. There are some cheesy ways to level up quick that usually involve being a psychopath. Like, I've seen multiple places in, like, Valentine and in Saint-Denis, where you just piss off the cops and then sit in a place where they can't shoot at you and just keep gunning them down until you run out of ammo. I mean, that could be fun for a little bit, but that, like, having to go to such lengths to level grind in an open world game, that smacks to me of it being a pain in the ass, once again. Like, leveling shouldn't be too easy. It needs to be a reward for the hard work you're doing, but the amount of reward that you get for the work is out of whack, just like how much money you get and how much, gold nuggets you earn for each session of whatever that you do. But yeah. And, like, the things that you do organically to earn XP aren't really all that entertaining. Like, the story missions, for the most part, I enjoyed the first time, and then grinding them out, it becomes less and less enjoyable. I mean, obviously, you have to sit through the cutscenes, and, like, a good portion of the cutscenes, at least for the honorable mission path, were well acted. I thought the voice actors did a great job, and they were entertaining. It's just that there's only, like, 7 missions, really, unless you flip-flop between being a good guy and a bad guy, which I was considering doing, because, I mean, why not? I'd like to see the other parts of the story, but once I get through all of that, that's it, and then those are the only missions that I have to replay. I'm sure that they're going to be adding more with the story missions and possibly expanding stranger missions once the full release hits, but like, I want to get some of that in my hands to find out how it functions and how it plays. You, like, escort some wagons, if you can actually get the quest to freaking work, which I haven't been able to yet. You can deliver mail, which is also something that I haven't been able to get to work. It's like, hey, can you deliver this mail for me? Because I'm not going to do it. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I got time to kill. I'm waiting for the spawns to reset so I can go back to fishing. And stand there on the platform with the dude looking at me. I'm like, okay, so where's this mail I gotta deliver then? And nothing. No indicator on the map, no obvious bags for me to pick up, nothing. So, I don't know if it's just my game is glitched, or whatever. And another fun glitch that seems to be happening is that my horse progress keeps resetting. I maxed out my horse affinity, like, 4 different times. And I keep having to start over again every time I log back in, which, I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's just a pain in the ass to get thrown from your horse for no reason. And, I like being able to drift my horse. It was fun to do to kill time when I got bored of hunting and fishing and grinding story missions. But, that's the main ways to gain XP, is to, like, participate in the same events that you would get gold in, or go on a city rampage, like go on a massacre and piss off the cops. And, I mean, I'm probably going to try that exploit at some point, just to let off some steam. I've been a good little boy for a while, and I might as well open up those other story quests. So, why not tank my honor level? Because it doesn't really matter much. As far as actual gameplay, just what story missions you can do. Insofar that I've seen. Like, you don't get a discount for being an honorable person, and you don't get griefed any less for being an honorable person. In fact, I think they see that a player has a high honor level, you're more likely to get griefed, because they don't think that you'll fight back, which is not true. I actually went hunting for a person who griefed me for so long. I was dedicated to hunting that person down and murdering them, that they switched servers. They reset their game to get away from me. At that point, I had it. I had already been griefed by, like, 7 other randos while I was in the middle of doing something, and I had, like, a lot of pelt and a perfect cougar carcass on the back of my horse, and I lost all of it. And the next guy that griefed me paid for their sins multiple times. Now, for the gold bars. Gold bars will inevitably be the premium currency for RDR2 Online. It seems that Take-Two's decided to suckle at the teat of mobile gaming's bloated and rancid udder for their aggressive monetization scheme. Strauss Zelnick pretty much gave the game away at the last shareholders meeting. After GTA 5 became the highest earning entertainment product in history, like movies, film, books, television, no. GTA 5. Redonkulous amounts of money. And, he was like, we're under-monetizing our player base. I mean, we can't keep giving things away in perpetuity. I mean, that'll at least leave us the last nickel. But, the gold bars is where they're going to get us. That's where they're going to get their greasy fingers in our pockets and try and, take everything. Except for the last nickel. They'll still leave us the last nickel. The main problem with it, and how I can see this aggressive monetization scheme going forward, is that things that only cost gold bars. Okay, so, personal story time. Gather round, children. I have, at some point within the first 3 days of the beta being available, I wanted a fancy coat that suited my tastes and horse insurance for my horse that I spent a lot of time trying to get. The total cost of that was 6 gold bars. Now, after 20 hours of playing this game so far, I have earned a total of like 3.5 gold bars. That's after 20 hours of playing. And not all of that was spent grinding to try and get gold bars, and some of that gold bar earnings was by virtue of treasure maps that I got, and only as I leveled up enough. I got, every 5 levels apparently you get a treasure map, so you can get a treasure hunting. 3.5 gold bars. 20 hours. And I actually wanted to spend real money to get gold bars just so I could get a coat and horse insurance. Like, I was so frustrated with how slowly the gold bar system worked, because you need 100 gold nuggets to get 1 gold bar. So you earned a total of 340 some odd gold nuggets at that point after 20 hours of play. And I was 3 gold bars short, essentially, for what I wanted. And that would have taken me down to practically no gold bars. And those are the only things that I wanted. Like, there was other stuff that I thought was cool, but those cost upwards of, like, 20 gold bars. To, pimp out your gun, or anything like that, like, add a different stock, personalize a weapon, it's like 20-some gold bars. Ridiculously expensive. Insofar as actual real-world currency. Like, that is egregious. Egregious, sir. And it's like, oh, it's only cosmetic. Well, cosmetics do affect gameplay. They are a motivating factor for a player. So, I can understand wanting to get money for that. I mean, I honestly don't like AAA titles that have microtransactions in the first place, but then again, I'm an old man, and change frightens me. But, okay, you gotta make your money, despite, having a massive studio and a parent company who makes more entertainment. But you gotta get them shareholders wet, right? But there is a limit to player patience. EA has already tested that limit and found out around where the line is. I mean, at least there's no loot boxes, but it's still premium currency. It's still, mobile game bullshittery that's going on. Selling a premium currency. It's ass. Everybody knows it's ass, but it's gonna happen, and I know we should just accept it, but I don't have to like it, and they don't have to beat me over the head with it. They don't have to make the manipulation as obvious. They should really work on their subtlety as far as that whole thing, because, I mean, having a goal to get a certain article of clothing, you either have to grind relentlessly to get to level 90-something, or you can pay 40-some-odd gold bars. And the way it sits, the XP grind or the gold bar grind, like, the gold bar grind may not even actually sell you time. You might end up getting to level 91 before you earn a total of 44 gold bars. So, it's gross. It is totally gross. Now, the fabulous cherry on the shit cake of all this stuff that I've been complaining about so far is griefers. Griefers exist only to spread human misery to everything the light touches. Now, in a few games, they handle the problem of griefing by limiting PvP in, whatever free roam sections that they do have. Like, Destiny, for example, you can't really grief anybody outside of jumping in front of them while they're trying to shoot something. And I have had a situation where somebody dove into a rocket after I fired it just so they could blow me up, because, they were being annoying. Like, and the most annoying thing that they can do in any given situation is do a stupid emote in front of you until you, walk away from them, and then they punch you in the back of the head and it does no damage. So, like, that's the way Destiny handles it. It's not a false equivalency there. Anyway, Other games like Ark or even Minecraft, they have non-PvP servers. There's a way to opt out of PvP in other games. There's a way to say, she's like, you know what? I just want to chill. I want to get my fish on. I don't really feel like getting into a firefight with a rando because they're bored while I'm having fun or trying to earn money. I don't want hours of work ruined by some asshat who's just in it to piss other people off. You know, like, you want those people there, honestly, because that's part of your player base. You can't ignore those people who want to grief, and grief is gonna grief. They're gonna find a way to do it. And giving them mechanics to do it in game is better than completely cutting it off, because then they start lag switching or, booting you from the match. They find ways to hack your shit and get you kicked off. So, give the griefers a little bit of the power there that they want to be annoying, but be able to go, all right, I've had enough. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to stop. Right now they have the parlay system, which only works for one player or a posse, and it only works for 10 minutes. So if you have a particularly patient griefer, they'll just wait for that 10 minutes to expire so they can ruin your day over again. So, like, the parlay system is ass. It does not work. It doesn't. They can say it works. It does not. In my opinion. This is all subjective, by the way. Like, y'all should know how a review works. It's a person's subjective opinion that they're offering about a work. Just saying. I mean, there's no such thing as an objective review. There is no such thing as an objective review. If it's a piece of art, or if it's a piece of media, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In this situation, I'm a beholder, and I'm telling you where the beauty and the ugliness lies. Just keep that in mind. But the other problem with griefing, the repercussions for griefing, if they intend for this to be the experience, like, nope, you cannot opt out of PvP and free roam, it's just the way it is, then you need to mitigate the damage that griefers do. Griefers are still going to get a chuckle for shooting you in the head while you're in the middle of doing something, like being in a menu or, minding your own freaking business, skinning a cougar. Like, right now, I have gunned down potentially innocent people because of griefing. Like, a dude rode up on me while I was skinning an animal and got off his horse. The first thing in my head was, oh, this person is going to hog tie me and drag me behind their horse, or they're just going to shoot me in the back of the head and then shoot my horse, or I'm just going to shoot this dude in the chest because I don't feel like dealing with it. So we eyed each other for like a minute, and then I'm like, you know what? Took out my Ode to Joy, which is what I call the double-barrel shotgun. Or not double-barrel, my pump-action shotgun. Her name is Ode to Joy because she dispels grief efficiently from mid to close range in one shot. So I blew the dude away. He could have been in a menu trying to figure out how to ask me to join his posse, for all I knew. I didn't care. I was in the middle of hunting and I didn't want to lose my pelts, so I murdered him in cold blood. You see what the griefing is doing to people? Normal, sane people who aren't completely murder hobo. They turn into murder hobos because they can't run the risk of allowing anybody to be near them for more than 30 seconds, because within 30 seconds they will have drawn a bead on your forehead and paint it with lead. Since it's not opt-out as it currently sits, I didn't want to deal with it. Rando McRandleson ate shotgun shells, and I rode as fast as I could to the butcher before he respawned and caught up with me to exact revenge, because I did shoot first in that instance. I kind of felt bad. I was like, he didn't immediately shoot me. Maybe he was just trying to navigate his menus or something. And that has been impacting some of my enjoyment of the game. Very rarely has being griefed inspired joy in me. One or two times they made me laugh. But that was one of two times out of like 50 so far in the short time that the beta's been out. And that's just shit. So, my final thoughts on Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, it has a ton of potential. The skeleton of a fun experience is there, but as it sits, there isn't enough to keep me engaged and interested right now. And as far as the adjustments to the economy, I don't know how much Sugar Daddy Take-Two is going to allow Rockstar to mess with the player economy. So, I mean, if we can come up with more coherent arguments and better suggestions for Rockstar, at least we can say that we tried to guide them in the right direction, which is kind of the point of this entire video. The review itself is to kind of put my thoughts out there in a coherent fashion, so that way maybe somebody else who's having a similar issue with the game can let their voice be heard in their own words. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that video the guy was talking about. That's what was bothering me about it. Like, that's the point of this. I want us all to, talk to each other, figure out what we feel is not right with the experience so far. Because, I mean, there are fun aspects of the game. Like I said, the skeleton is there. The foundation for an awesome online multiplayer experience is there. It just needs a lot of tweaking to make it right. Especially when there's so little content available right now. Like, if they can get that beta to feel fun, then it will be supremely easy for them to add on. And, there's a core there, a delicious nougaty center. It's just right now it's covered in a layer of carpet fuzz and dog slobber. I want them to clean the candy off a bit, and then wrap that into a delicious... I'm hungry. I'm sorry. Food metaphor or allegory. I never get those two straight. But either way, and this isn't to shit on the game. I'm just not here to poo-poo on it and be a provocateur. I want this to be good. I paid money to Rockstar for this experience. I want my investment to pay off. I want to have something to play whenever I want to play it. I want it to be fun. And, if I'm having fun, it's easier for me to make content on YouTube, which is like the most selfish part of that, because, I want my channel to do better. But other than that, just as a player, as a gamer, end of the line, I want Rockstar to make it as good an experience as possible, because then it won't feel like a ripoff if I decide to sink more money into it. If I want to buy gold bars, I want to continue to invest in the game, so that game better be worth the investment. Right now, as it sits, the single-player experiences I had a lot of fun with. I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I don't like it as much as the first Red Dead Redemption, to be honest, because it's a bit too realistic when it comes to certain aspects of the game, and that kind of just slows down the pacing for me a little bit. The story, I think, is one of the best stories that they've told so far, but the online experience, even like as a beta, I didn't have massive expectations for it, but they've got a lot of work to do, in my opinion. So, if you feel the same way as I do, or if, I helped in any way, put words to your concerns. If something just felt off to you and you didn't know how to say it, hopefully I've helped you out just by airing my grievances and giving my hopes for the game. I really hope it ends up doing well. I hope Rockstar takes our suggestions seriously and, figures out an elegant way to implement them, and without the gaming press trying to say that we're holding them hostage or something, entitled gamer bullshit, that kind of thing. And I want to be able to log in, do whatever, and feel like I had a good time. Because right now, like 10 minutes of my playing is spent doing something that I enjoy, and then the other 50 minutes is, it feels like I'm clocking in. And that's not a good experience. Like, I didn't pay Rockstar so I could work without earning any actual cash. I want an escape from my horrible 9 to 5 or whatever. I want to be able to just go online and pretend to be a cowboy for like an hour or two and feel like enriched rather, for the experience. But that's what I'm hoping for. If I helped out, share this, I'm going to put a link in the description for Rockstar feedback, so that way, like, if you haven't found it anywhere else online, or just like an easy place for you to click on, making you think about it for now, go, oh yeah, I wanted to say this to Rockstar about this. Click on the link, leave them your feedback coherently, end politely. And, yeah, like the video, leave a comment, get some engagement going on this video so it makes the rounds. And get this out to as many people that you know that play Red Dead 2 online as you can. Unless, somebody else did this much better than me, in which case, leave a link to that video in my comments section, because I'd like to watch it. Uh, Having somebody else school me on how to do this stuff improves my work. I like to learn where I'm failing so I can improve. But either way, yeah, do the YouTube shit for me, please. And this is Caleb Black. Peace.